Hi, everybody. I'm glad we're back this week, and I've got a very exciting guest on the chair. So, for everybody who is finding us for the first time, please subscribe. And for our followers, continue to follow, share, and leave us some comments. We really would love to hear what you think about our change conversations. So, on the chair today, I've got Zama Mkosi. So, I'm really excited to have her. Zama, on this platform, people introduce themselves. They do a better job than I do. So, hello, nice to have you.
Oh my goodness. So I'm on the spot even just to introduce myself.
Definitely.
Before we get to the meat of our chat. Because if I was to start at the beginning, then it would be too long. So Zama Mkosi is my name. I am a lawyer as well as a business owner, and I've been a lawyer for over 20 years. I specialized for a number of years in the media and entertainment industry as a lawyer, as a financier, as a CEO, as a COO. And I also own several businesses, some within the media and entertainment space, but also outside of that.
Wow. Quite a huge experience there. That sounds
quite a lot, being your own boss. I've got experience working in the public sector. I was a CEO of a public entity, working in the private sector. I was a COO of a financial services company, and also being in legal practice, because I used to practice, and so being in a law firm. So I've had varied experience in this very short 25 years of working.
Wow. No, that's great. I'm glad you're here. So, Zama, today we are looking at some aspects around legalese in business.
Yes.
And I've had this conversation with you where I've said, anything legal, my brain goes into a spin. I'm just like, why should I be doing this? But before we get there, tell me, why did you choose to leave being employed and decide to start your own business?
It was a very interesting combination of events. I think I've left a corporate employment several times. I think there've been several points in my life that I've left the security of employment and gone back, and then and so on. But and I'll maybe just share a bit on the different ones, because I think it will also be useful, for your audience, because we each find ourselves in different stages of our lives, as I'm sure your listeners and your audience do. The first time that I left the security of employment was when my kids, not when my kids were born, because it was almost easier, to be pregnant and have the maternity benefits of corporate. So I was happy to be in corporate during the time that I could enjoy maternity benefits, and also when my kids were young. But as soon as my kids started going to school, I found that the demand was then quite intense, because there was dropping them off, there was picking them up in the middle of the day, there was attending soccer, little league, this, that, and the other. I found that period to be quite pressured. And it was at the time that I was moving up in the corporate ladder, and the demand was getting too intense. So that was the first time that I made a decision to leave that and rather focus on my young family at that time. But then I supplemented that with going into an NGO environment. So that's the middle ground that I sort of found myself in for that. So that was the first time that I made the shift from the security of employment for those reasons initially. And then as time went, another point in my life where I left that security role was when, another one was when the funds ran out, from because I was leading that NGO, and we had and we had funding from the US, and then the funds ran out, and then I had no choice but to go and do something for myself. So I did not have a choice. I just had to get back to what could I offer, and that's where I was. And so I was sort of thrust into my own boss space by circumstances because of the funding ran out in the safe environment where I was at. So that was also another reason. But you make it work. You make it work. And then the most recent then for me was having been a CEO of a public entity for 6 years. And I had a very successful tenure. It was a CEO role that was aligned to my passion. It was a CEO role that I could really fulfill what I believed in, and impacting the film industry, which is an industry very close to my heart. But then, even then, circumstances started shifting and not being aligned to who I am, and not being aligned to my beliefs and my value system. And when that happens also, I felt that it was a thrust once again to go back to who you are, Zama. Go back to who you are, because then I was feeling like more than I was in a role where I was fulfilling my passions and applying my skills and expertise, I was just putting out political fires. And I am less of a politician. I'm not a politician by a long shot. It is, I don't know whether to say it's a developmental area or not, but but really playing politics often has the better of me. And I found myself in a space where it was getting the better of me. And so I just had to remove myself from that environment. And then go back into what do I have in my hand? Because that is always the crux. My dad used to say that, my father used to always tell me, what do you have in your hand? You've got something that you can package and offer to the world. So dig deep, and that is exactly what I did.
Oh, wow. And that conversation around when your values not aligned to the environment that you're in, it's something that I talk about a lot. Because I think the biggest thing for me is you need to be clear about your own personal values. You need to know what those are, so that whatever work that you do, you want it to align to your values. And it's something that I keep telling people, and I hope at some point it will sink for some other people, because you get misaligned when the environment you're in and who Zama is not corresponding, and it's not working. And kudos for you to taking yourself out of that environment. Other people stick around.
You know what?
And lose who they
it's
are.
not sorry to interrupt you, and really, as it is almost like no one else. Yes, you can teach people, you can tell people about it, but it's almost like every person experiences it for themselves, and every person, they will get to that point where it clicks that I can no longer be here. When it clicks, because it is never an easy call to make. It's never an easy call to make, because you feel in certain instances, there's always a battle, because sometimes you're like, you're adding value, maybe that you are doing something right, and maybe the environment, suddenly you are accused of things and this and that. And maybe another side of you says, because I know I'm right, I must stay on and fight and prove that I'm right. That is your value, that what, you are right. But then you have got to make a decision sometimes to even remove yourself, even if you have not proved that you are right, so to speak. Yeah. And sometimes a person can feel that they are therefore compromising their values by simply removing themselves from a situation instead of fighting, for example. Yeah. So, there's always battles. It's never a clear cut. And so hence, it is like when the time is right, even if the situation is not perfect, when someone analyzes it from the outside, someone could continue to say, no, you should have stayed. No, you should have. But only you would know.
Yeah. And at some point, you're the only one who can choose your own peace, right? No
All
matter
the
how
time.
that,
All the
no
time.
matter how that looks like. Yeah. Anyway, so Zama, you've been in business now.
Yes.
And you've done this business thing a number of times. So my
Yes.
question to you is, what are the things that you wish you could have been told earlier starting business?
Well, besides the fact that it is not going to be a bed of roses, I think people, always just say that, but but at the same time, when you're looking at Insta or you're looking at social medias and everything, people that are entrepreneurs always seem to be living the best life, and so I think that can never be emphasized enough, that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, one, but also that because it's not going to be easy, you have to be very clear on your why. And you have to be very convicted of your why. Your why is important. And not that it's a decide of everything, but it is of critical importance, because you are going to be questioning your decision quite a number of times as to why am I doing this? Because it will always seem easier, that it's the 25th of the month and some people get notifications. And when sometimes you even forget what day of the month it is, because honestly, it's like the whole month, Jay, iyaphuma imali, and the whole month you are chasing invoices, or people are telling you they are processing, and so you've got to always know your why, and be convicted about your why, because it is going to come easy. And I really wish, someone would have told me that. But also, I think another thing is the importance of having a plan, and being clear that passion alone ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
Passion and
execute.
passion alone, Jay, is not, is like, doesn't matter that, oh wow, I'm passionate about pets, and so I'm going to just like do a business about pets. You have to have a plan as to what are you offering, who wants what you have, who's going to pay for what you're doing, because at the end of the day, somebody is going to have to pay for what, the only way you're going to get money is somebody pays. And so you need to be objective in interrogating your business plan, your business model. What are you offering? You have to sit down and do that.
Yeah. I know. It's a very interesting journey, right? Yeah.
I'm sure you have found the same for yourself.
Like I'm back at it, and it's like, but you know what? I think I love the fact about the passion part of it. I really love that. But you need to, as you say, you need to have a plan, and you need to make it work, because you can be passionate, but if somebody is not paying, so what's the point? You might as well go back into employment. But I think it's about, for me, it's about that excitement and being able to see that I'm building this thing on a daily basis. Some days are tough, I would say, but that is the part, I think, that keeps me going. So let's get back to this conversation about legalese. So I told you that any legal anything, my brain shuts down, like seriously shuts down. I'm like, why do I have to do this? Why must I read these terms and conditions? Oh my God, a contract, why? So please break this down for us. What is the minimum legal stuff that we need to put in place, mainly as small business people?
Yes. Well, I would say it starts with a couple of basic steps, I would say. One, which you have, things that you have absolute control over as a business owner, solopreneur, freelancer, business owner, whatever kind of business that you may be in. The first thing is that you need to have the terms and conditions of how you yourself do business. You've got to know them. You've got to have them in writing. Yourself, your own. Forget that when you get an agreement, then you've got to sign it. Before you even get to that, if you offer, you're a makeup artist, and you are a backup singer, you need to have for yourself, even if it's a one-pager, as to how you do what you do, what do you do, who do you do it for, how are you going to do it, how are you going to get paid, how much and when you're going to be paid, and when are you going to deliver what you're going to deliver, and the person, signs on that, just at a simple level. And before you even think about, putting it, getting a lawyer to do it for you, because this is one of the suggestions that I do on my online course. I'll tell you about it now. But as the first exercise that I'm giving people to do, that put down in writing your business, how you do business. Judge in layman's term, in your own words. You don't even have to think about being legal. Just write down that being a freelance artist, this is what I do. I do the face, I also wash it, okay? And I expect people to pay. This is how I charge, and they must pay me and send me proof of payment before I come, and because as you do that, you also actually teaching yourself to understand your own terms and conditions. It's a fancy word to say it's terms and conditions, but it's actually how you do business. And so put it down for yourself so that you understand. And then the second thing, of course, you may still need a lawyer, perhaps, if you want to make it tighter, but at a basic level, I'll say everyone can write down what they do, what they expect the other person to do by when. At a
basic English, right?
Basic English. What are you going to do by when? And what are they going to do by when? What happens if you don't do what you're supposed to do? What happens if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do? Simple. Before you get to domicilium sitandi executandi, before you get
once
to
I see those words,
like, no. Before you even get to that, just get it to that basic. Now, the second thing, as I said, at a basic level, is that which is within your control before you spend any money securing a lawyer or anything like that. You need to read everything that you sign. Read it. I'm not even at this stage calling on you to understand it, but just at least read it, because you will be surprised how much you actually understand when you read. Mm-hmm. You may just the thought of it scare you, but you pick up a whole lot more if you even dare to read. But most of the time we don't even dare to read, and yet there's actually a lot that is in plain English that you can understand. And so if anything, you will also know which things you do not understand, so you know what questions to ask if you don't understand. Yes, you may sometimes get a response that you don't like, and you may try to change certain things and you may not be able to, but at least you will know that, okay, they say I must pay this amount even though they have not done X. At least I've read that, that's what it says. And if I've tried to tell them that this is not fair, and they look at you and laugh at you and tell you that, then go next door. and you continue to sign that because of other business reasons and so on, but at least you know. Because then what you can do is you can then go back into the business and see how else to manage that risk. But at least you know, you're not blind to it, because sometimes you're just blind and it comes in as a shock when someone then is claiming something and you absolutely had no clue that it was going to be the case. And yet, if you had known, there may also have been things that you can ask, and you know what? The person actually agrees to change them. But if only you ask. I mean, a simple thing as some of the simple clauses in contracts, for instance, confidentiality clauses, clauses to keep the information confidential. Most of the time, those clauses are for the benefit of the person that drafted the contract. So someone that drafts a contract and gives it to you, chances are clauses like those are just saying you are the one that must keep things confidential, whatever. But upon reading, for instance, something like that, there's no reason that it can't be mutual. It can't be that they will also keep things confidential. You will also keep things confidential. But typically, it would be one-sided. But, just because they know that people are not going to read those general clauses, those miscellaneous clauses, people are not going to read those things. But most of the time, you can easily also make them applicable to you and also make them to protect yourself. So put your business, your own terms of doing business down and read. Just read.
Wow. Yeah, I think if the reading, you're thinking you're just reading something that is in simple English, makes a huge difference. But the minute it's got those legalese, I think for me personally, that's where, as I was saying, that's where my brain just goes, what the hell is this? But you find that if somebody was saying to me, because then I'll ask, what does this mean? Then somebody explains to me and I'm like, but why did they write it like that? Like, you lawyers, like, no, man, write English. It's okay.
English. And you know what, Pume, that is exactly for me what then, caused me to develop this course that I've done. Because I've developed a course which is called The Basics of Business Contracts. It's an online course that people can do online and at the comfort of their homes. But what I realized was that, without even needing a legal degree, there are just certain basic principles that, that you need to understand about the whole concept of contract, which once you understand, you actually will not be as traumatized and as confused when you read a document. I mean, if you understand those basic principles that for any contract, whatever type of contract you have, you need to have an offer. What is someone offering? You need to have someone accepting that offer. You need to have something that shows who's going to do what. So what are the rights and responsibilities of party A? What are the rights and responsibilities of party B? What happens if either party does not do what they're supposed to do? And then the rest is those general clauses about keeping things confidential, where we're going to give, send the address when we give each other notice and so on and so on. But if anything, you need an offer. You need an offer which must also obviously have a price to it. There needs to be an offer. There needs to be some amount of value, to what is being offered. And someone is going to accept that. And what are you going to do? By when? And if you just have that broad picture, by the time you read a document, you are almost going to be looking for those things, Uguti. But it doesn't look like this person I'm entering into Yena has an obligation to do anything. It looks like, and yet I'm expecting him or her to do XYZ, but I don't see that in this document. So where is it written that you are actually going to do this, that I can see all the things I have to do, but I can't see things that you have to do. But at least if you have that understanding that for every contract, there's got to be things that I need to do and things that the other person does, and what happens if either one of us do not do that.
Wow. Yeah. No, and you're making it sound so simple, but I think, as I say, just the name contract agreement.
Hence, you people are your audience has to sign up for my course. I'll share the details with you. It will take that rest of that edge off, when they did. It's not a long thing at all. It's videos. It's about 8 videos of 10-15 minutes each, and they'll be able at least to come out of there and saying, oh, okay, and then they're not going to be a threat. They'll realize that no, man, ubala lol.
Yeah, no. And I think once I tell myself, okay, Mpume, sit, focus, read, and get it done, it's not as traumatic, but the thought is the thing that really freaks me. I don't know. It's just like, can we write in English, people, and we all be okay? I think that's my
long sentences with as one sentence fills out the whole paragraph.
Exactly. And I did commercial law in my degree. Commercial law 1 and commercial law 2. Like, I did.
You made it beyond 1. Like, you are better than most.
But I think I was forced to do both years. It wasn't out of choice.
You are still better than most, I'm telling you.
It wasn't out of choice, but anyway.
Some fell off at legals 1. A side story not related to what we're talking about. My husband, whom I met at university, followed me in the queue to register for legal studies. So he ended up also registering for legal studies. I tell you, he didn't make it past the first semester, but hey, 22 years later, he ended up with a wife. So
the wife who can do the legal. Who can do the legal side of things? So
tell you what,
okay.
Yeah. He got the benefit, but not the cause.
No, but that's what I do. Like, I get my husband to read most of the legal stuff because he seems to be comfortable with it. But for me, it's really trauma. So Zama, what are the mistakes that you've seen people make mainly in business when it comes to legal stuff?
Yeah. I think it's which maybe is linked to what I've said, is really signing things that they have not even read. I mean, I can forgive you signing if you don't understand, because yes, there may be things that do get complicated for you to understand, but I think it is a grave mistake for you to just not even having read. I think it's really a grave mistake because you can really end up having signed away certain things, in your ideas, in your businesses, in your, whatever projects you're doing. You can sign your rights away. Once you've signed, you can sign your rights away. You're signing things away that once you've signed, and then somebody can take that signed document, and then you lose your ability to counter whatever it is that they are saying, because they say, no, here you are, you signed. Because there is no defense for if you have signed without reading, even without understanding. There's no defense. You can't say, I didn't understand, but then you signed. So you can't. So really, it is a huge risk, because you can lose certain things in your business. But also, I think not putting things in writing, it is also because even if it's by email, if you are feeling that you don't feel confident enough to even do a formal contract yourself because you keep telling yourself, you're not a lawyer and so on, but confirm things on email, if anything, confirm certain arrangements on email. You don't have email, even WhatsApp, at the basic level, even though it's not ideal, especially for other stuff, but put things in writing.
But Zama, there's stuff around verbal agreements. So, Kanti, how far do those go? Because when we've had a verbal agreement, we've agreed.
You know what? I would say don't bank on verbal agreements. Yes, you may well, 6 years down the line and 10 court appearances later, yes, you may well, and I don't know, 2 million rands worth of legal fees, you may well be able to argue that your verbal agreement was in fact valid. So in a strict legal sense, you may well be correct that you've got a verbal agreement, you had a verbal agreement that you were going to share 50-50 in this, 20 million rand rail deal. You may well argue that down the line. But honestly, to spare yourself that process of getting to prove, just do yourself a favor and at least eliminate what you can and don't take your chances and just put it down in writing. Everything, even if it's something that you do not think, whether it's an agreement or it's not, but you've chatted over the phone, you've agreed that this is how we're going to do business. Someone has got a big contract, they want you to come in and subcontract for them because they can't do this part of the job. Oh, wow, thank you, friend. I'm happy to do it because I've got capacity. Thank you very much. As you drop the phone, send him an email and say, that was lovely chatting. Thank you for offering me an opportunity to subcontract you on this deal. I'm happy you've offered an amount of X and I'm happy to accept that amount. And as per discussion, this is what I'm going to do. As indicated, this is what I'm not going to be able to do. And this is when we're going to start. This is when we're going to end, and whatever else. Just at that basic level, it will still put you in a far better position than simply getting off that call and then bringing your team onto the office and say, yay, we've secured a big deal. And then you go and buy and start buying equipment and further subcontracting, whatever. And then you come back the following Monday onto site. The person is like, hey, yeah, something happened. I decided to go with someone else.
Wow.
And I'm sure many of your listeners will count times that they have had that situation or they know of people that has happened.
Yeah.
So put it in writing. Put it in writing, because especially in those supposed business deals that you think are small. I've just spoken now about, let's say, big subcontracting, but you are asked to come and do and cater for a bridal shower. You're asked to do catering, be a catering business. You're asked to come and do catering. There's going to be 100 guests. Come and do this and do that and do that. Drop the phone, confirm it in writing, 100 guests. This is the menu. You give me 50% deposits beforehand, blah, 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 blah. Because you're going to rock up there's 200 people. And they just say, I know, Sissy, no, Jay, awenza. And you come out of there, you have fed 200 people, and yet you have only been paid for 100 people. And by then, no one remembers at what point did they tell you it's 200 and not 100.
Yeah. Okay, so the takeout is put it in writing. It doesn't matter how small you think it is.
Doesn't matter. Put it in writing, and don't just be excitable by numbers alone. Yes, the number may be good, it's an exciting number, but always go beyond the number. Always, even with regards to that number itself, understand a couple of other things about the number. Understand when it's going to be paid. Understand what are some of the conditions to its payment. understand at what point you may have to pay it back or whatever, depending on what type of deal it is. At what point can the number change? Because sometimes you may be in a type of business that there's a number, but then it says subject to, market performance or something like that, know those things so that, you don't just see a big number, but then you miss out on the rest of the sentence. And someone comes and pays you a different number and say, no, but in there it was written 1 million rand. No, it was said 1 million rand subject to the rand dollar exchange rate at the date of blah, 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 blah. You miss that small bit. And when you get paid, the rand dollar rate means that you're only cashing in 600,000 instead of the million you expected, simply because you did not go beyond just the big number that you saw.
But Zama, what's up with lawyers and small prints? Hi, guys, the small print.
Everything seems small. Can't it's the same font?
I refuse.
I could say the same thing about accountants. Like, why are there so many numbers?
Why
are there so many numbers? Where are the words?
No.
When I look at financials, I want to see words, and all I see is numbers. I'm like, where are the words? I want alphabets. There's too many numbers and lines. That's all. What's happening here? Unfortunately, that's also the thing, that I wish someone had told me about starting a business, which I think talks to what we said earlier, Uguti. Talent alone is not enough. Technical expertise in your area is not enough. Passion is not enough. You need to have a working knowledge of areas across the board. You need to have a working knowledge of numbers. You need to have a working knowledge of business. As I said, hence the course that I've developed, because the whole aim of the course is to empower people who are business owners or entrepreneurs or creative, people or freelancers with the confidence to really have a working knowledge of legal issues that affect their businesses.
Yeah. Wow. But, and I think that's great because legal fees can be very expensive. And when you're starting, because hence I was asking, what is the basic element that you just need to make sure you've got in place? Because sometimes you have to look at my IP, what does that mean? Copyright this, what does that mean? And sometimes in those bigger things, you need to consult, right?
Yes.
But what are just the basics for us to, let's start engaging, let's start and not wake up and have a heart attack of, oh my God, I shouldn't have done this, or this should have been done this way, and now you're being sued. I think those are the elements that we need to understand.
Yeah. And I think if you were to, spend your money, because like any other business, you are going to need to be willing to invest something. So yes, as I said, I've developed this course and it empowers you, but it does not take away the need for you to still invest a lot more in getting a legal expert into your business, into your legal issues in your business. But even there, you can prioritize. And I mean, there may be key fundamental agreements that you absolutely have to make sure that you have in place. And if it means that you've got to save so that you can secure that legal expertise for you to draft those in a manner that is rock solid, that does not just depend on you, having written down your thing or confirmed thing on email. These are the ones that I would say are an absolute essential for you to have them done by a lawyer. Obviously, your funding agreement. I mean, from whoever is funding you, it is ideal to, even if it's your husband funding your business, woman, have a funding agreement. An agreement between yourself and the funder of the business is very important, because your business is what you are building. That is the asset you are building. And if someone has put money into it, and the terms of them putting that money into it are not clear, you may well be building something, and someone else may come in later and claim certain rights into that business that you have been building, simply because you did not have a very clear agreement as to what were the terms of them putting that money. Whether, as I said, whether it's a personal loan, whether it's with a financial institution, obviously there's got to be an agreement in place, and just understand it as much as you can. I think the second thing is an agreement between yourself and maybe your partners. If you are working with as a partnership with someone and so on, you and your friend decided to start this consultancy because you've worked together and decided you'll come out and start a recruitment agency together, but you are such big friends, you don't even bother to get into the detail of the contract between yourself, and then boom, something happens, and then you are left in the cold around what the relationship is and what, how things are supposed to be managed, whether it's decision making, whether it is deciding to sell or not to sell a business, or how to share profits. All those things is a very high risk relationship. So make sure that that relationship, which is high risk, you are clear as to what are the terms of engaging in that high risk relationship. Another high risk relationship is obviously between yourself and your customers. So I've mentioned the first high risk relationship, you and the source of resources, source of funding. Second, between you and whoever you are in business with. And the third one is between yourself and your customers. Maybe even before you get to the customers, yes, there's a person you're working with, but there's also people that you are using to develop whatever service or product you are offering. So those people are also high risk, because you may well need XYZ to help you to do whatever to make this laptop before you sell it. You need to make sure that there's a clear agreement as to what is the basis that they're helping you to do this. Whose IP is this? Is this yours? Are they just employees? Are they doing it for them? Before you and go sell it, because once you are then selling it and the deal between you and the person that created it is not clear, you're going to have a please call me situation on your hand for a very long time, So be clear, that is a high risk relationship that you've got to make sure that it has a solid agreement in place for that. Mm-hmm. And then, as I said, with your customers and the people that you are servicing, be clear on the terms that you are offering services. Because let's say you own a cleaning company, and you go into people's homes and offices to clean for them. You need to be clear as to what are the T's and C's that you are cleaning that. Because next thing, you are busy cleaning, someone walks on that wet floor and they look, and then they break their leg or they crack their skull. Next thing, your business is faced with a litigation just because you took for granted and never outlined the T's and C's of how you offer services. So that's also another high risk relationship that you just, if it means you have to invest right at the beginning, that's what we have to do. Obviously, the last one is, as you alluded to earlier, is the protection of your intellectual property, whatever you are creating, your IP being your copyright, your designs, your logos and all of that. Make sure that that's your first asset of your business. So you cannot just develop that without protecting it.
Wow, sure. There's a lot. And there's a lot. So in fact, you talk about that Please Call Me saga. And there's a project I'm working on. And I've been having conversations with a number of people. And I'm kind of interviewing those people for a particular project. And the first thing that I've done is, can we clear our engagement I don't have it in writing, but I've got it recorded. That's good enough, right?
At the very least.
Okay.
Yes, at the very least.
Okay, so at least I'm covered. I must just make sure that my recordings never disappear.
And you must make sure that you find an opportunity to confirm it on email next time you talk to them or something. Sneak it into an email.
Okay. No, now I've learned, right? I've learned.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just seeing, so I even say to them, I don't want a please call me Saga a few years from now.
No, that has taught all of us a lot. If anything, it was a lesson for a whole lot of us on the various things that we are doing, whether for ourselves or we do for other people. It taught us a lesson about how to do things differently, whether you're a small business or a big business.
Exactly. And I think if you've offered something and you need to be paid for it, that needs to be clear, right? So at least there's a lot of learnings. In fact, there's a lot of learnings from all of us. We laugh about it, but it was a serious undertaking.
Yeah.
And if the product has made so much of money, it becomes something else.
Yeah, it becomes complicated in a very expensive way.
Exactly. So what is the one thing that, I say one thing, can be two, that you really want somebody to take out of this conversation?
Is that as much as it sounds complicated, but it doesn't have to be. There's something you can do about it to make sure that it is not as complicated, and you can still protect your business if you take certain basic steps. So don't just not do anything and just be completely paralyzed from all things legal, because then you are exposing yourself and your business to a substantial amount of risk, and yet you're waking up every day, you are building something, and yet you are not doing much to protect it. So I'm saying be conscious and know that you can do something. And as I said earlier, where we started off, you just start with the basics. Is it in writing? If it's already in writing and being given it to me, have I read it? What have I understood? What have I not understood? Have I raised that with the person? Have I asked the right questions? Or have I asked questions? Don't put yourself even under that pressure, whether that's right or wrong. Have I asked the questions of what I don't understand? And you will only get to that point when you actually read. So read and write. The two things.
The two things, read and write. That's what we're taking out of this. Wow. Yeah. No, I think it's been an enlightening conversation I've learned, because I've got issues with legal things. And I always say I do these conversations also for myself to learn. And if there's somebody out there who also picks up something from it, we've done our bit for the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks for the time. So where do people find you on social media?
They can find me. I am mostly on Instagram, and Instagram at Zama Mkosi, one word. It's not Mkosi, it is Mkosi with an M without an H. So it's at Zama Mkosi, one word. That's where I think that would be the best place to go, because in there I've got links to all my other websites. But I'm very excited. They must go quite soon, because in the next week I will be launching the course, and I've got exciting specials for people that that sign up for that course, that become the first people to sign up for the course. So they must get onto my website, to my Instagram as quickly as possible, sign up to be on the wait list, and be on the lookout, because links to the course that teaches about the basics of business contracts will be shared there in the next few days.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're really looking forward to that. I must go and get my stuff as well. I need
Get
to
empowered.
get empowered. Exactly. Thanks, Zama. So for everybody that was listening to us today, please share and comment. We really would love to get feedback
Yeah.
on our change conversations. And I hope you've really gotten something out of this, because I have. And there are things that I know are definitely not in place, but they will be sorted out now that Zama has told us we need to get our act
Need to
together.
read and write.
We need to read, yeah. So thank you, really. I appreciate that you took the time for us to have this conversation.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I thoroughly enjoyed sharing the knowledge with you.
Thank you.